Hey guys, it's Bucklevi here for League Top 10, and today I'm going to be showing you the new masteries that Riot has introduced for us in League of Legends. They are pretty much, for the most part, completely revamped from what we're previously used to, and I know a lot of people have been discussing and debating what exactly is the best build for each type of masteries. So AP, damage dealing like AD, and then you have tank, support, jungler, all those kind of things. Well, what Riot aimed to do with this is they aimed to give us more choices, and by more choices I mean typically when you used to play like AP character, for example, you would go 2109, and with that build you would not deviate from that. It was pretty strictly 2109, and the only time you would slightly deviate is if you're playing like a strange hybrid type build or playing a champion not exactly how you normally play them. But with this, we're given a lot more choices for a lot of different types of builds, and I wanted to show you some of the common ones and kind of talk about a few of the points that you would have left over. So for example, to start with, we're looking at my AD page. I have 5 pages right now, and with my AD page, these are all based off a single type of role. So we have AD, AP, range, tank, or sorry, not range, tank, support, jungle. And with this one, what we're starting out with is, in the first tier, you have to get 4 points to go into the next tier, and so on and so forth. So for this one, I got Summoner's Wrath, because I actually believe for certain AD characters, those that are good at chasing or those that need to chase, with the recent nerfs to Flash, an increase in cooldown as well as an increase or decrease rather in its range, that Ghost becomes a lot more prominent for a lot of characters. I'm seeing Ghost a lot more, and I feel that Flash is only viable for a certain amount of characters that need that initial gap closer for like an initiation. It's not as good anymore at like running away. So I get here, this gives me an increase in Ghost. It also gives me an increase in, say, Ignite if I choose Ignite, or Exhaust. So they have combined all these attributes for all these different summoner spells you might go into one spell, which is great. Then I get Brute Force, which is a flat +3 attack damage increase. Always good. Everything else is kind of for AP or for jungling. Past that, you get Alacrity, I think. Alacrity? Yeah. Which is +6% attack speed, and then if you get weapon expertise, it's 10% armor penetration. Previously, all you had was this option here, which was sorcery, which gave you cooldown reduction and magic penetration. The only downside to this now is that if you play a champion, say Renekton doesn't really need attack speed. He's more of a, use your abilities and do mega damage and then follow it up with a couple attacks. So in that case, something like sorcery, where it reduces the cooldown on those abilities, would be more beneficial. But by doing that, you kind of lose 4 point slots, and you can't get the extra armor penetration. Now, if you're building in the armor penetration in your runes, then that makes up for it. So it's actually up to you. Again, it's a player choice. Past that, we're going to get Havoc, which is a 0.1% flat increase in damage in everything you do, auto attacks, abilities, etc. Then you're going to get Vampirism, which is a nice +3% in lifesteal. It's just built-in lifesteal, always good to have. Then you have the Sunder Armor, which is +6 armor penetration. And then Executioner. Oops, you actually can't see it. Executioner here increases the damage dealt by 6% to targets below 40% HP. So it's just a nice 6% increase in targetable damage below 40%, making it nice to finish someone off once they get low. Now, with this, you're left over with, 9 points or so. You can take those 9 points and decide to invest them more into offensive. Say, for example, getting 4 into deadliness here, and 1 into lethality, which gives you a +10% critical strike damage. That may be a good route for, say, Gangplank. You can also go into demolitions, which give you a +10% bonus damage to a tower. Or you can go into something like, Butcher, which gives it more basic attack damage to minions and such. I wouldn't recommend this so much, but this is definitely an option. Perhaps even Sorcery too. What I've done, though, this is just a basic page, is I've gone in here and I've gone into Resistance and I've gone into Hardiness. Now, I put 6 points in here because it increases my base 6 armor and my base resistance of magic for 6. That's good flat increases, and a lot of times for my tanky DPS, or for, if I'm playing a really tanky top lane character, I want them just to be able to sustain any type of poke. So giving me extra resistances, in my opinion, is more worth it. Now, some people may not view that. Some people may rather have the 10% critical strike damage or the demolitionist. But I prefer that because it gives me more sustainability up top and less harass. I also get the 3 points into Vigor, which gives me a +3 health regen per 5 seconds. Again, totally up to you. If you want, you could even just forego that all overall and get Summoner Insight, which Summoner Insight reduces the cooldown by 15 seconds on your flash or teleport, if that is the type of spell that you're actually going to take top. Again, there's a lot of choice in here, which is really great and really great to have all this stuff. So that is my typical AD page. If you guys want something to go off a reference, you can use this and tweak it as you see fit. The next page is Tank. Now, with Tank here, we're going to go down the middle tree, and we're going to get 3 into magic resistance and 1 into hardiness. Now, you can flip this around. You could go instead 1 into resistance and 3 into hardiness, but I feel like this is, the best setup, because usually with me, I already have armor in my runes, but I don't have a lot of magic resistance, so I make up for that for having magic resistance in my actual masteries. On the flip side, you can go Summoner's Resolve, which allows you to have Cleanse, increased duration of disable reduction, and I feel like that would be the most often used one. Cleanse being able to cleanse out of any kind of initiation CC that you get whenever you're going in on a team fight. But I don't run Cleanse a lot. Maybe in the future, if the meta shifts, I'll start running it, but for now I don't. I run these 4 points in the middle. These two over here, reduce damage taken from minions. It would be good in the laning phase if you're trying to harass them a lot. But I feel like, generally speaking, you're going to be better in the middle. After that, we again get Vigor, which is the +3 health regen. And then we get 4 into Durability, which gives you a maximum of 108 health at champion level 18. That also unlocks Veteran Scars, which gives you an extra 30% base health, so you get that at level 1. Then we have Evasion. Evasion reduces the damage taken from area effect abilities by 3%. League of Legends is extremely AoE based now. From the beginning of League of Legends up to now, we have a lot more champions available that do a lot of AoE damage. It's pretty much a no-brainer that you're going to want to get this. I wouldn't get anything else at this tier other than this. I mean, we have Indomitable, which gives you a reduction of 2 damage, just 2 damage incoming. Not worth it, in my opinion. And then Bladed Armor, which gives you returns 6 damage against minions and monster attacks. Again, not worth it. I don't feel like that is going to be your main concern. Having that reduction in AoE damage is a huge plus. Now, from here, the 2 that you're going to get is Enlightenment and Initiator. Initiator gives you increased movement speed by 3% when above 70% HP. Great for going in there to start your ultimate like a Mumu, or going in there as Singed, or going in there as Malphite. This is a definite must-have. Above 70% HP, 3% increase in speed, awesome. Additionally, Enlightenment gives you a plus 0.45% cooldown reduction, 8.1 at max rank. This is, again, really useful for having, you're not getting cooldown reduction in offensive or anything. You're simply getting cooldown reduction in the defensive tree built in. Nice to really have. I really enjoy having this. Moving on there, we have Honor Guard, which reduces the damage you take by 1.5% flat. On the flip side, we have Mercenary, which gives you a bonus of 8 gold. It stacks up to 24 if you put all the points into it. 24 gold on champion kills and assists extra. Now, that may sound awesome. Extra gold is extra gold. But if you think about it, if in a normal team fight you kill 4 members of the extra team, you're only gaining almost 100 gold. And 100 gold translates into a ward and almost an HP pot or something. It's not that a lot of gold, and I feel like it wouldn't be worth it in the long run. I feel definitely like getting an Honor Guard is much more worth it with a flat 1 point. That's what you can see. Reducing damage 1.5% every single time you go in a team fight. Now, Juggernaut is, of course, the max tier 1, which is increasing your maximum health by 3% flat off of whatever you build. So, it basically multiplies based off of every item you get as you go. And then on top of that, you get the reduces the duration of incoming disables by 10%. So, it's a built-in 10% reduction in the duration of disables like stuns and slows. And this stacks with things like Tenacity. So, it stacks with Mercury Treads and other items that reduce the amount of CC you incur, which is great. Really great to have. Again, once you do this, you have about 26 points in here. You can have a little less. You can have 21. But I have 26 in here, and then you're left with 4 points to put wherever. Now, if you prefer Ghost instead of Flash, which I have Flash in here because for a Mumu and for, say, Malphite, I feel Flash is more useful. But if you're playing Singe, you can put that point over here in Summoner's Wrath and get the Ghost increase. And then you have 3 points to play around with. I put the 3 points in Good Hands, which reduces the time spent dead by 10%. As a tank, I feel like I'm most likely to die because I'm going to be going in there and being balls deep in the other enemy team. And there's a pretty good chance I could die. So having 3% in there allows me to come back that much quicker and not have to worry about it. Alternatively, you could say put 1 point in improved recall, which, reduces the caster recall. You can go back to base, come back, and then you can take those other, 2 points or 3 points and divvy them up in here or wherever as you see fit. Perhaps get Indomitable, or perhaps go Summoner's Resolve or Tough Skin. There's a lot of choices, and it just fits your play style. There's not a set way to do each type of build anymore. You have leeway with about 6 to 8 points usually that you can just mess around with, which is great. Great to have that. Now, we're on the third page, which is AP. AP is, I feel, one of the more constrictive tiers. It was always constrictive with the original masteries, and I feel it's pretty constrictive in this as well. There is some leeway, but not a lot, I have to feel. So first of all, you're going to get Summoner's Wrath, because most AP characters have Ignite, which increases ability power and attack damage by 5 when it's on cooldown. That's kind of a no-brainer. It's a straight-up increase, and if you run Ghost instead of Flash, then it also improves Ghost. Then you're going to get Mental Force, which is plus 4 ability power. Then you're going to move on to Sorcery, which is plus 4% cooldown reduction, and then the Magic Penetration. Again, Havoc, and basically here, Blast is just another tier equivalent. It gives you AP up to 18 additional AP at level 18. And then Archmage gives you an increase in your ability power by 5%. So this, again, is multiplicative just like it was over here with HP. You get 5% based off of what your current AP is beforehand. And then Executioner still works on your abilities as AP, so it's still worth getting. Now, if we flip over to the utility, which is usually where you go when you're playing an AP, you have Summoner Insight to use, which I've also put a point into. You have Expanded Mind, which gives you up to 216 additional mana at champion level 18. Again, always great to have. And then, as you can see, I've also put a point in Improved Recall, which allows me to go back to base that much quicker. I feel like going middle, having Improved Recall is really dandy. Let's say you get in a team fight and you win against the enemy AP. You're actually going to be lower, let's say you're really low in HP, but you want to get back to lane as quick as possible. Having Improved Recall allows you to get back that much quicker than your opponent and allow you to farm that much quicker, or just simply roam somewhere else on the map, and not have to worry about that additional second, because that can kind of add up. Then you have Meditation, which is plus 3 mana regen per 5 seconds. Now, if we take these out here, as you can see here, let's see if I take that out. You have, additional little fields you can move it to. I could put 1 point into Scout, which gives me 5% increase in Vision Wards. I could put 4 into Meditation, or Swiftness, which gives me a total of 2% movement speed. If you don't feel like you're going to have issue with Meditation here, so if I take this out and I put it in here, then you have, 1 point to spend between Swiftness or Scout or Improved Recall. But for me, I enjoy having this here and then having that, because I don't feel like 0.5 movement speed increases that much. And I don't feel like I'm going to be buying a ton of wards as an AP carry. Because, if you're support, obviously this would be a great thing to put, which I'll talk about later. But as the main AP damage, this feels like a good setup. And this is what I definitely would use. So, moving on here, now we have specialty roles, which are the jungle and the support. Now, jungle just uses a slightly modified version of the 80 page. Could not speak there. Basically, what it does is, again, you use Summoner's Wrath and Brute Force, but you get 2 points in a Butcher here, and then you go down the tree as normal. Havoc, Vampirism, etc. On the flip side over here, we can't really go into anything else here. We can't go into Demolition, we can't go into Deadliness, etc. because we need to get down to this talent here, which is Runic Affinity. Runic Affinity increases the duration of neutral buffs by 20%, and it's something that you will definitely want to have if you're planning on jungling. Now, to get down to that, I went Expanded Mind, which again gives me more mana or energy. So if you're playing Lee Sin, for example, in the jungle, you're going to have additional energy to work with. And then Improved Recall is really nice because of the fact that if you're in the jungle and you want to go back really quick to get boots or to get Madrids, you'll be able to recall really quickly, get your Madrids boots, and then go where you want. Now, I run Ghost a lot now on my junglers, so I got Summoner's Wrath because of the Ghost factor, increasing movement speed 35%. But you could go Summoner's Insight as a flip side in case you wanted to do that. Now, if you go that as a flip side, then of course you'll have the reduction in Flash, and then the point just kind of flips over to Utility. Of course, after that we have Swiftness, which is 2% increase in the movement speed. Really great to be if your jungle, allows you to clear those camps faster because you reach them. And plus, in ganks, having the 2% movement speed either before you get boots or after is really, really beneficial, especially if the enemy doesn't have boots yet. So that is the jungle page. And finally, we have support page. Now with support page, you're going to be going down, of course, the last tier, utility. I have 26 points in here. You can have as many as you want, up to 21 generally. And I find this to be probably most effective of what I would need or feel like it would help me the most when I am playing a support character. Now, of course, we have Summoner's Insight because I want this for Clairvoyance. Increase duration by 2% and Flash in case I take Flash. Both of these things really useful, and I can get it all in the utility tree. And then we have Expanded Mind, of course, with the extra mana. And then I've also taken Improved Recall because I feel like going back and getting a quick Heart of Gold or a Philosopher's Stone in the early laning phase, having that extra recall, definitely nice. You know, go get your wars, go get HP pots, etc. Moving on then, we have Meditation, which is +3 mana regen. Scout, which gives you the extra, of course, Vision Ward distance. And then we have Transmutation, which is the +3 Spell Vamp. Now this is really nice because it's this passive spell vamp that you get off of, say, any damaging attacks or any attacks that you do against the enemy with your spells. It gives you that passive, you know, Vampire Scepter, or not vamp, passive spell vamp that you could really use if you, you know, are running low on HP pots, but you want to be an aggressive. It basically promotes being an aggressive support character. You can be Soraka and Star Call, you can be Sona and use your Q, all that kind of stuff. Using this, getting heals back supports aggressive support styles. support. Moving on from that, we have Awareness, which increases experience gain by 5%. I think this is really great. It allows you to, you know, keep up in the experience area and, you know, just maintain yourself in case you're feeling like you want to roam, you want to help out other lanes, and you're not in a lane sitting there farming all the time. You're just, you know, kind of going with your team. You can make up for any experience loss by going, like, if you're going to ward, etc., just by having this here. And also by having Sage, which gains 40 bonus experience on champion kills and assists. Again, if you're there with your team, you're awarded with bonus experience, which is always great to have. Now, bonus experience versus bonus gold. I'll say that bonus experience definitely in this case helps you out more, gets you a higher level, gets you the extra rank of the spell versus only having like 100 gold if you kill 4 people. So, Perseverance gives you an increased health and mana regen by 9%. That's a no-brainer. You would want that in your, you know, laning phase as well as just passively moving around the map if you're getting, you know, hit by anything. Having that passive mana regen and HP regen, always nice. Then you have Intelligence, which is, of course, the cooldown reduction, which was normal for Utility Tree, +6%. And then you have Mastermind, which reduces the cooldown of your summoner spells by 15%. That didn't change from previously. It's pretty much the same. But, again, really necessary for utility. That way you can Clairvoyance as quickly as possible, as well as just simply being able to use your abilities with that built-in cooldown reduction. Sorry, that's just for summoner spells. But built-in cooldown reduction for summoner spells, always great. So yeah, these are the 5 trees that you have. You have a lot of points. You know, once I put that in there, I have about 3, 4, 5 points to work with. As you can see, I've put 4 into Mental Force, which gives me extra ability power, +4. Always nice to have that passive ability power. And then I put 2 points into Swiftness because I felt like that would be the most useful, giving you a 1% movement speed. You might ask, well, why didn't I put 2 into Greed? Because 2 into Greed would only give me 1 gold every 10 seconds. And in the course of a minute, that's 6 gold. That's really nothing. I don't really feel that's necessary at all. On the flip side, I could also take out Awareness here and put it into Greed and Wealth, which Wealth gives you an increase in starting gold by 20. That's the equivalent of, say, an extra HP pot. Not really worth it in my opinion. You could, per se, get a Doran's item and then an HP pot using this setup. However, most supports nowadays don't start with the Doran's item. They get several wards and they get something like a Meki Pendant, and they just work from there. So I definitely wouldn't recommend this if you want to go true support. If you want to go like a more aggressive support, then perhaps do this if you're not planning on, you know, warding and just staying back. Not staying back, but just being a more aware support. That's just my opinion, guys. You know, feel free to tweak this as you see fit. I just wanted to give you guys some good baselines to work with so you could actually use this and build your own playstyle from it. But a lot of people were wondering exactly what do you do with the new masteries. And I feel that these should help you progress as a player and, you know, figure out what you feel is most comfortable. If you guys want to check out my mastery pages or anything like that, I may change them from time to time as I play. But you can go ahead and check out my profile of Spunkify here and actually, you know, study them and write it down if you don't want to look at the video, just want to look at them more in depth in the actual game. This has been Spunkify out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.